The Airbnb market is not doing well at all. If you check out some of the Airbnb units, it's not really looking so great. So much competition. There's an oversupply of hotels right now. And right now, not a lot of Americans have the capital or cash to go on vacations. Unemployment's at 3.9%. It's actually going up. And now you also have big Airbnb bans. So what's going to happen is we'll be seeing a pretty big Airbnb bust. Because, for example, New York City Airbnb hosts on the brink of foreclosure following the city's crackdown. If you look at this, Airbnb used to be an extremely profitable market in New York City. You have people buying multiple condos and they rent them out. But now when you go on Airbnb New York City, you probably notice one thing. Where are the massive penthouses? Where are the really unique townhouses? The houses, the homes. What happened to all of them? Because 80% of listings got wiped off in a single night. New York City essentially put a massive Airbnb law. It's a ban that essentially says you could only rent out your apartments or home as an Airbnb if the host lives there, which many hosts do not. And you can't have more than 2 people in your Airbnb. So no parties, no large groups. And this is why Airbnb New York is such a cold place right now. It's all these tiny little units that are less than like a few $100s a night. If you go to like Airbnb Miami, you see like penthouses, very unique homes and stays. It's like a huge business over there. But in New York City, it's bad. And now we're seeing a bunch of these New York City units. They are going through foreclosure. They could go for the long-term rentals, but they don't make that much money. A lot of these guys bought these homes at very high interest rates. Okay, they bought them at very high loans. And the only way they can pay their bills is through short-term rentals because you make more money. And yes, other cities are not making that much money through Airbnb, but New York City still makes a lot of money from Airbnb. New York City's tourism is still rising to this day. And you have a lot of outside investors and a lot of outside people coming to New York. They need a place to sleep, and Airbnb is a massive solution for them. I think they're essentially trying to force a lot of these Airbnb guys to turn themselves into long-term rentals to help with the housing supply. But many of these units are just simply going to like the foreclosure section. And then check this out. So Los Angeles is now requiring Airbnb hosts to get police permits. Just seems like every single city in the US and around the world is making short-term rentals a very difficult thing to do. LA essentially doing this makes Airbnb hosts just pretty much become less desirable. People are no longer going to these big cities and buying Airbnb properties. They know the insane stringent conditions. LA requiring you to get police permits, and then New York suddenly bans Airbnb overnight. It's just a really scary showdown, which is forcing a lot of big cities in places like Seattle, places like Las Vegas and Chicago. A lot of the Airbnb guys over there are honestly pretty scared themselves, and they are even considering selling some of their units. Airbnb has been an extremely lucrative market in New York City, essentially wiped out by insane laws. Now, the city council for Los Angeles says that if you want to become a short-term rental host, you need to get police permits. And look at this, right? A lot of groups are not really that happy. You're also seeing that these permits are very expensive as well, hundreds of dollars. And if you don't get these permits, you can't do Airbnb, or your fees and punishments are very high. It's a massive headache, and now a lot of the Airbnb guys in LA are kind of sick and tired of it, and they may essentially just shut down and just sell the properties. And then you have situations like these, right? Airbnb, is it still a profitable hustle? Definitely not. The Airbnb company itself is making a lot of money, but if you check out what a lot of people are saying is revenues are down nearly 50% in some of the biggest cities, including places like Myrtle Beach, Panama City, and even Miami is actually losing a lot of money from Airbnbs. Just so much competition on the Airbnb market recently. It's a very difficult time to make cash. If you go on Airbnb Miami and you check out some of the condos and very unique stays, you probably notice one thing. Many of these units are very expensive, but they're also getting some of the biggest price cuts that we've ever seen. I mean, these price cuts are not small. I mean, these are pretty enormous price cuts, like $122 to $77, $293 to $219, $325 to $244. You get the idea. There's more units having price cuts than units just stay the same price. And it just shows you that there's way too much competition, oversupply Airbnbs, and on top of that, very stringent laws that make short-term rentals a massive turnoff is causing a lot of the units to go bust. Check out this. Australia is now doing a 7.5% levy for all Airbnb and short stay accommodations in Victoria. This essentially wiped off Victoria's Airbnb market in just a few weeks. And now many of these Airbnb units are going to for the for sale section. Like the long-term rentals don't really make that much money, so they're essentially trying to sell these units. But guess what? To this day, after several weeks on the market, many of these Victoria Airbnb units have not been sold, with virtually no buyers for these short-term rental properties. And many of the locals are pretty much not even supporting them, right? And hey man, big money, small money in Airbnb Victoria, they're all kind of toast at this point. And then check this stuff out. Home construction increased in October for the second straight month. So even if the guys in the Airbnb industry who have a bunch of these homes want to dump some of these homes, well, good luck, because here in the US, home construction is crazy. And you may be asking, why are they building so many homes when not that many people are buying? Well, the secondhand market is cold as ice. There's virtually nobody in the secondhand market that's selling their home because nobody wants to buy them. And many people who wants to sell their old home are going to have to buy a new home anyway. And with interest rates this high, no one's doing that. But big construction companies can. Big construction companies can actually offer you guys 5 to 6% interest rates, way lower than the market value, because they get exclusive mortgage deals with big banks because they're doing like hundreds of units. So usually banks give them like a pretty good mortgage package and they pass on those savings to the investor or the buyer. So this is why people are still buying homes, but just not that many. And now we're seeing new construction homes in the pending section. It's taken up like 1/3, whereas it used to take up 10%. And they're building homes like crazy, which is becoming very bubbly. Rents are going down, short-term rentals aren't really doing so good. And it's just like a really, really odd market. I think a lot of developers are pretty greedy right now. Lumber prices are down, construction materials are cheaper, oil prices are down. We're seeing even more home construction, especially in the suburbs of America. So if you think home prices will continue to rise, think again. This is why many Airbnb units are not being sold. This is why you're seeing foreclosures at an all-time high. And Airbnbs, well, they're going to the foreclosure trash can. Many of them can't be sold and nobody wants them. On top of that, you got massive job cuts everywhere. So do you really think people are going on vacations? Unemployment just a few months ago was 3.3. It was like a decade low. Now it's at 3.9 and headed towards 5% in a few months. So are people really getting Airbnbs for vacations? Probably not. And on top of that, a bunch of people are doing Airbnbs. There's just so much competition. Used to be like if you have an Airbnb, you're making mad money every single day. There's not going to be a single night when you don't make money. But now with so many people doing Airbnbs, it's no longer profitable. And plus, hotel construction is actually on an all-time high as well. So Airbnb not really doing so hot, especially if you're the host. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below and see you later.